Good evening, everyone. This is Karen Donovan. Welcome to the G.N.W show. I'm so glad you tuned in, and I don't know if you caught our intro, but did you intuitively know that something was going to happen with that dog? I didn't. It startled me. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about going with your gut, tapping into your intuition. So stay tuned for strategies for a happy life. So, have you ever had a time in your life where you said, darn it, I should have gone with my gut. I should have listened to my intuition. And one time you did it and, well, you were right. And another time you didn't do it and oops, you said, why didn't I listen to my own inner voice? So tonight, we're going to be talking about how to tap in to your intuition. And I've got 3 strategies, because that's what we talk about here on Strategies for a Happy Life, on how to tap in to your intuition. So the first one is looking for biological impulses. The second one is getting quiet and listening to your inner voice. And the third one is don't depend on the advice of total strangers. And you're going to find out what I'm talking about in a second. So let's start with number 1 and talk about biological impulses. We start out as a baby. We have biological impulses. We cry. We want to eat. We have to go to the bathroom. We got to go to sleep. Those are biological impulses. And then there's other biological impulses that come in time, like butterflies in your stomach. Your head is pounding. Your hands get sweaty. Those are all things that happen. And, a lot of times over the years, we've been conditioned to not pay attention to our biological impulses. I remember one time walking past a classroom and there was a little girl in there and she wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom. That's what her teacher didn't allow her to do. And guess what happened? And so that little girl and I went home because she had a big problem. And, it's not fair what adults do to kids. They try to lump them all into a category. So yes, we have to be socialized, et cetera, but that dulls our biological impulses so that we can't listen to our gut, to our intuition, because it's turned off. And so that's the first tip that I have is listen to your biological impulses. If you feel like, the teacher has asked a question or you're at a seminar or your job or whatever, and someone has said, are there any questions? And you have a question and your hands get kind of sweaty because you don't really want to speak up. But guess what? Go with your gut. Do what you feel you need to do because your body is telling you something. Now, number 2, we have get quiet. And by that, I mean, a lot of people, the hustle and the bustle, and you really can't think. Get time to yourself. Sit in a corner, relax, go for a walk, enjoy nature, maybe take a nap. That's a miracle in and of itself, to bolster your intuition. And something very strange happens. I don't know if it happens to you, but like even for this show, for example, I have ideas about what I want to say. I have things written down, and then it's sort of jumbled around. But then I step back from the situation, get quiet, and all of a sudden, things just start to fall into place. Have you ever had that where you were thinking about a big problem and then all of a sudden the solution just seemed to pop up out of thin air? That was your intuition, and it was working. And everyone has it if they listen to their inner voice. Now, number 3, don't depend on the advice of strangers. How many people do that? How many people listen to the person at the office or the desk next door or at the waiting for in the line at the supermarket? Like a total stranger gives you advice. Now, is there wisdom in many counselors? Yes, of course there is. And there are some people that you do want to pay attention to, of course. But on the other hand, a lot of times, instead of listening to that inner voice and going with our gut, we listen to what other people say. And a lot of times, is that advice good? No. And we knew that at the time. We knew that was not, it didn't sound right. So if you do those 3 things, if you heed your biological impulses, if you get quiet and just let your mind rest a little bit, and then that intuition will come to you. And if you stop listening to idiots out there, there's a good chance that your intuition will increase and you can lock into that. And in conclusion, I have this really cool story, and somehow or other, I just feel intuitively that this fits in with what we're talking about. I have a past client and a friend on Facebook, and what he does, Jason, is he entertains kids at birthday parties and so on, and he is Spider-Man. So one day he got a text from someone who had a birthday party coming up, and then he got in touch with them, and intuitively he knew that there was something about the story that he recognized, and it was a party for a little boy who had been adopted, and he had been severely abused before he had been adopted by this wonderful family. And at the time, he was having a lot of trouble, and physical and mental and everything like that. And then one day, about 2 years prior, in his class, Spider-Man had come to visit and had spoken briefly to him, and that basically turned his life around. And when Jason heard the story, he realized that was him. He had been at the school 2 years before, not knowing the child, not knowing the mom, and here he got this call. So he knew that this was meant to be. He went to the party and everything turned out great. But I just happened to catch that story right before we came on the air, and I thought it was appropriate because you've got to listen to your gut. You've got to tap in to your intuition. And that, my friends, is what we're thinking about and in our quiet time mulling over, so that we too can take advantage of our own intuition. I hope you enjoyed this segment of Strategies for a Happy Life. And now on to a burning question in the real estate corner. So tonight on the real estate corner, our question is how do we intuitively decorate our homes to make them more appealing? You see, we have connected our theme for this evening, and I like to think about intuitive decorating as something that's free-flowing and fun, but also practical and useful. So I came up with 3 tips. I'm going on 3 tonight for you to consider when decorating your home. Now, it might be a new home that you're just moving into. It might be your old home that you'd like to change around. So let's start out with tip number 1, which is making dark rooms lighter. And intuitively, when you walk into a house, I don't know about you, but today I was at a house and there were some pretty dark rooms, and then there was the family room, and it was all bright and open, and it just felt so nice. So what do we do to make some of the darker rooms lighter? Well, first of all, paint is the numero uno thing. And you know, we want to paint a room a small room and a dark room, a lighter color, so that this way it just feels more open and more spacious. Second part of that is lighting, making sure that if you don't have natural light, that you have good lights, lamps, and so on and so forth. Today I put a bunch of bulbs in a hallway that was very dark. So you want to make sure that those 2 things are taken care of, and this way your room will feel much larger and brighter. Number 2 is check out mirrors. Now, I'm not talking about the big giant wall mirrors of the olden days where you could go in and feel like a ballerina because the whole wall was a mirror. But if you use decorative mirrors in a way that reflects the light that is there, you're going to make your room feel so much bigger and brighter. And there's a lot of creative ways to do that. If you'd like a few other tips, I can show you some pictures of some rooms that have some great mirror decorations. And it works good for little rooms. It works good for big rooms, because sometimes a large room, there's windows at one end and there's no windows at the other end. So sometimes it's nice to get a mirror in there to reflect the light back that's at the other end of the room. Okay, that's number 2. Now, what's number 3? Oh, this is a good one. And this is very creative and intuitive. And that is if you have a new house or you have an old house and you're bringing some old furniture together with new decor, don't be afraid to be a little eclectic and mix the 2. You don't have to have all brand new stuff. You can utilize some of the older things for accents and then get your new piece in there. And together they will make it very attractive and intuitively feel very, very wonderful, accommodating, nice, lovely, whatever your taste is in decor that makes you happy. So those are 3 tips, intuitively speaking, of how to decorate your home and make it feel more attractive. And now, my friends, we are going to be talking about a very important question that has been asked in our trivia contest. So here we go. you say, Karen, how can I get a copy of this question in advance so I can think about it and intuitively come up with the correct answer? And I say, why don't you request our Monday morning wake up email, and we will be happy to send you a copy. Our newsletter includes some valuable information, tips for homeowners, home buyers, home sellers, realtors, and just plain people that have a house or want to have one, and plus interesting tidbits, questions of the week, music of the week, just to get your week started. Comes out on Monday morning, nice and bright and early for those of you who rise early on Monday, and anyone in between. So if you request a copy of our Monday morning wake up, I'll be glad to send it to you. Just shoot me an email at Karen@homesbydonovan.com, and I'll be glad to send you out a complimentary copy. So tonight, our question, which we asked in our Monday morning wake up, is which of the following countries has one of the highest percentages of intuitive people as opposed to the observant personality type? Okay. Now you say to me, well, what's the difference? And I say, well, on a personality scale, there's, different scales in the personality spectrum, as they say. There are intuitive people who are more likely to go with the information gathered from the world around them. I'm reading this because I don't have it down in my head. Intuitive personality types rely on imagining the past and the future potential of what they see. So intuitive people rely on the potential of the past and the future for what they see, whereas observant people are more interested in actual facts and more straightforward outcomes. So some people are interested in thinking about what ifs, and other people are thinking about, this is the facts, ma'am, and only the facts. I think I heard that on TV once. Anyway, here are the countries that have the choice, and all of these are actually high ranking in having a population that is high in intuitive people. The choices are A, Italy, B, Algeria, C, Morocco, or D, Chile. All right, so Italy, Algeria, Morocco, or Chile. And probably you don't know the answer. But if you were to go with your gut, what would you say? What would you say would be the population that likes to go on the spur of the moment? They go on future potential of what they see, things like that. If you thought it might be A, Italy, you might be right, because that's the answer. Now, I have the statistics to back up my intuitive thought, and that is Italy has 60.09% of their population are tested as intuitive. Algeria was 59.83%, Morocco was 59.79%, and Chile was 59.65%. So they were all pretty darn close. And if your intuition didn't tell you that, then, you can understand that, because that was a pretty fine definition there of personality types. There are some countries that have way more observant types. They could be something like Ghana, Nigeria, Afghanistan, Somalia, Singapore, China. Okay. And just to let you know, the United States didn't score anywhere in either category as far as having the highest or even close to the highest. They did not rank in this little contest. So that, my friends, is the answer for tonight's trivia question. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to seeing you again next week. We know that we have 6 more weeks of winter, so in the interim, please stay warm, stay safe, and make it a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.
It's the Good News Wednesday show. Come on, kids, it's time to roll.